Welcome back to part 2 of basic search engine optimization. This lesson, let's start looking at keyword research. We mentioned keywords in the last section there. You need to know your marketplace, right? We need to know what we want to rank for. You need to know what traffic certain keywords will bring you. Now, how this works is, for example, search Scottish wedding photographer. As a keyword at the time when I was ranking for it, that keyword would deliver that keyword would be searched for approximately 300 times a month, right? I think it was 360 times a month. So that keyword had a potential traffic to me of, say, 80% of 360, because people will get those search results and not always click on number one. They might click on the second one, or they might click on the third, right? Fourth or fifth, you know. So, but the number one typically got 80% of the clicks. So that keyword for me was worth 80% of 360 clicks a month, right? The keyword wedding photographer, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's a few thousand searches a month. Much more difficult to rank for, and it's much less targeted. It's just wedding photographer. Where Scottish wedding photographer was at least taking at that point I can't narrow my audience down by the type of client I want. My website's going to do that, but the keywords, I'm focusing on people who wanted to get married in Scotland, so they would search for a Scottish wedding photographer or wedding photographer Scotland. So I need to know what traffic that'll come from. So we measure that by what's called monthly search volume. Now, you can find out what these search volumes are by using a tool. We use a free tool called the Keyword Magic Tool at semrush.com, and the link's there. Google, if you do advertising on Google, they used to have their Google Planner, but that's kind of fudged now. They don't really show you the accurate results. Anything less than 1,000 results they don't properly show you. But you really need to know exactly down to the hundreds, tens of searches, how many people are likely to search for it. Obviously, the more searches a keyword gets, the more difficult it is to rank for it, because there's more people competing for that search term. So it is important to do your checks on this and use this Keyword Magic tool. The way to get this tool, because SEMrush is usually a paid-for service, is sign up to create an account there. When you get through, you'll select the option to skip the trial when you're prompted. It's because it is a free tool. You're limited to only 10 searches a day. This is a screen you'll see when you try to sign up. If you step through, you'll see it say choose your trial plan. This is where you'll say skip trial, and you can then get taken to the Keyword Magic tool there. And you basically put your keywords in there, watch the country you're going to enter for, and you get the results. What keywords will we choose, or what ones will we pick? Well, you want to choose one or two main, what I call the A keywords. These are the money keywords with the most amount of search volume relevant to you. I would say try and find keywords with 200 to 400 searches a month, right? You can initially try go for lower ones than that if you don't want to make the job of ranking for those keywords too difficult. But try and get something that's got a reasonable amount of search volume. I would say between 200 and 400 a month. Then pick out 2 or 3 B sub keywords, other keywords that you might want to rank for. You can allocate to your other pages, your About Us page, your portfolio page, etc. And then 7 to 10 variation C keywords. These are what we call long tail keywords, that maybe longer search phrases that don't get that much traffic, but they will get you relevant traffic. So these are the ones to think about, and these you can assign to other pages or even blog posts on your website. And if we use a Keyword Magic tool, this is the kind of results you'll see for I've put in an example there for Leeds wedding photography, and you'll get the results back, the number of searches, the page searches, and you can click in and zoom in on this information a bit more, see how the search is trending, etc. Now this particular keyword for homing on the information that presented me, leads wedding photographer, it's actually got 720 potential searches a month, so it's a great keyword. And it's shown me that the potential ranking difficulty of that is 41%. So it's not an impossible keyword to start looking to rank here for. You know, if this was me, I would definitely go for that keyword. It will take a while to break it because obviously there's people been ranking on that search term for a number of years, but it's definitely achievable. That's a high ranking. I mean, 720 keywords is a lot. 720 monthly searches is a lot. So it will be relatively tough, but it's definitely achievable. That's the kind of information you've got to look at. So let's say I was going to rank for a Newcastle photographer, for example. So I've got to pick out, I've got 2 keywords I'm interested in here. I've done my research, I've picked these out, and I've got wedding photographer Newcastle gets 720 a month, and Newcastle wedding photographer gets 390. So if I can assign both those keywords to my homepage, right, I can potentially get a good number of searches there. And then my B keywords, still relevant to Newcastle wedding photographers. I've picked out wedding venues Newcastle, gets 480 searches. Wedding dresses Newcastle, 480. Wedding venues in Newcastle, 210. And wedding photography Newcastle gets 170. Now you see how wedding photographer Newcastle got 720, but wedding photography Newcastle got only 170. Some keyword searches won't give you that split. The tools that I use in my SEO business were able to give me this kind of tighter split. And then for your C keywords, these are for what we call long tail opportunities. How much does a high-end wedding photographer cost? That's a nice keyword to rank for. It's like our content marketing we talked about earlier. Wedding photography at a particular venue name, that's a nice one to rank for. What is a luxury wedding photographer? You can explain what the difference between a luxury wedding photographer and a basic wedding photographer. High-end wedding photographer in the UK. So these might be the type of keywords we might also want to rank for. And these are keywords that are great for just assigning to blog posts and things like that. So what is on-site optimization? It's the process of telling Google about our site. And the key on-site SEO factors that we need to be aware of is good structured coding, which comes from, if we're using WordPress, that's a given. It's a good structured website anyway. A good efficient web host. The site needs to be delivered at a reasonable speed to the customer. We don't want the customer hanging around waiting on your site to load. And it relies on proper keyword placement and good site navigation. Domain name used to be relevant to search, it's less important nowadays. Really doesn't matter what your domain name is. In years gone by, if you had photography in your domain name, that helped. Nowadays it doesn't matter. Let's look at website settings. If you're using WordPress, first thing I always suggest to people is to install the Yoast, Y-O-A-S-T SEO plugin. This is a little plugin which will ensure that your pages are being properly optimized, and there's settings in there that will make sure that your site is structured properly for Google to index it. With WordPress in particular, make sure that if you go into settings and then reading in your WordPress settings reading, make sure the option that says search engine visibility is unticked, right? Make sure that Google can index your site. Next thing to do is go into settings, then permalink, and select the option that says post name. What that does is when you're looking at your URLs, if you look at your blog post pages, it will say your website name / and then text. Where if you don't do that, it will say /p ? Number, right? Where you want your URLs to have text in it. So that's what that post name does. Site title. This is where your main A keyword goes, right? And how we place our keyword in the title is we put the keyword first, and then a dash, and then our brand. So in this example here, wedding photographer leads dash Jane Austen photography. That would be your site title. So that's effectively your page title for your home page, which also becomes your site title. Similarly, you have to have your keyword in the site description. And when you look on Google search, the description is a little bit of text that appears in the search results. So you've got to keep it tight, and it's got to be customer focused. Think of it as a short elevator pitch to both Google and your customer. So for example here, I want to get my keywords in, so I'm going to say Jane Austen photography is a luxury high-end wedding photographer based in Leeds, England. Jane can undertake wedding photography commissions worldwide. Contact studio for current availability. So what I've done there, I've put a keyword, which is, remember, wedding photographer Leeds. I've got that wedding photographer based in Leeds. So I've got my keywords in there in context. So it's reading naturally, it's done properly. I've also put a little call to action at the end of the text. Contact studio for current availability. So I'm using what Google delivers in its search results to my benefit. I'm putting a little call to action in there as well. So I'm doing two things here, not just optimizing them, also marketing. Your homepage layout, kind of WordPress has changed this now, but it used to be that when WordPress was set up, its default out the box would be a blog, and all your blog posts would be on the homepage. So you want your homepage to actually be a static fixed page, and then your blog pages come as a link elsewhere, right? But in case you're using a different web hosting system that may want to put your blog pages on the front, you don't really want a static page as your home page with links to your blog pages. The very first part of your website, the first bit of text you should see, should get that keyword right in there, right? A quick little intro about yourself and the service you offer. Include general wedding photographers as well in there in a natural manner. And that way Google will instantly know what you do. Get your main keyword phrase in there right away. Hi, welcome to my website. Hi, welcome to my website. My name's Alan Hutchison. I'm a Scottish wedding photographer. That's the kind of thing we need to get in right away. Images, not too many. Remember your client. Think about the images you want to show. Your portfolio is only as strong as your weakest image, remember, so don't put weak images on your homepage. Half a dozen, 10 dozen at most on your homepage. Really strong images, aspirational images that your client wants to see themselves in. Your image file names have to include your main keyword. So where if I was ranking for Leeds wedding photographer, the name of the file names would be leeds-wedding-photographer-01.jpg-02.jpg, etc., etc. So I've got the keyword in the file name, right? I've also got to get the keywords in my alt tags. Alt tags are if you hover over an image, a little bit of text appears. The alt tags are designed for people with can't see, and the alt tags can be read out to them by a screen reader, so it's describing the image for them. So you need to describe that image, but you can also put your keyword phrase in there as well, right? So, but make sure the alt tags do actually reference the image and describe the image. In the main body of the main body text of your website, obviously it's got to be relevant to wedding photography, and we don't want to overstuff it with keywords. But I do recommend, 1,250 up to 2,000 words. That's quite hard. It's really difficult to write this, but try to get your main keyword phrases in there. Mention them 4 or 5 times. If you've got 2,000 words, you'll get away with it easily, right? You're not keyword stuffing at that point, but get your main keywords in the body of the text. In a separate section, if you want to reference your blog posts, you can put them in a little separate section. WordPress uses what's called the excerpt facility, where it'll display the first paragraph from the blog post, and that's usually quite relevant because it's got some nice keywords in it there as well. Then always have a number of calls to action on the homepage. Remember this thing about booking a photographer is a journey. So the calls to action are to lead your customer through your website on a journey. Tell them where to go next. Please look at my portfolio. with a link to your portfolio. A footer of your website should always have your address and location information. It's very important. And add a privacy policy. Google expects websites to have a privacy policy, and they do actually check this as part of their algorithm. But having the address and location there at the bottom, what that does is it helps your site rank for the local keywords and the local maps results that you see at the top of Google. So your homepage, remember, this is where you focus your main keywords, nowhere else. The main keywords go on your homepage. Good site navigation and a good menu structure. Think about your naming things in your menus. Think about your naming things in pages. We've all seen, what does it say? Kind words about Alan Hutchison photography. What you really mean is reviews of Alan Hutchison photography. Who searches for kind words about Alan? Nobody's going to search for that. It might look cute on your website, but nobody's going to search for that. So say what it is, reviews for Alan Hutchison photography. And you'll have reviews in the menu, not kind words in the menu. It's one of these things that just gets my goat with the things that people put in their websites because they've seen somebody else doing it. Use the main keyword on your homepage where you've got your main keyword. Actually make that keyword then, that bit of text, a link, and point the link back to your own website. That sounds daft. Why would I have a link on my homepage that actually links back to myself? It's really just another little trick that we do to help Google know what the main keyword is for a site, and that little trick works. Right, so you just need to do it once. Whenever you mention your main keyword in text, just make it a little bit a link. It's best if it's in the body text, so it's not really that noticeable, and link it back to your homepage. So just put your actual website address as a link in there. Use 2 or 3 other variations of your keyword on the homepage to link to other relevant pages on your site. So if I've got a variation of my keyword, so if I'm ranking for wedding photographer Scotland, see that was my main keyword. I went, right, see, well, I also want to rank for Scottish wedding photographer, which is a different keyword, remember. I'm going to make my portfolio page rank for that keyword. So from my homepage, I would use that variation of my keyword, Scottish wedding photographer, make that link to then my portfolio. Right, so I'm then telling Google the Scottish wedding photographer optimization is for the other page. Use H1 tags. H1 tags are generally handled automatically in WordPress. If you use a heading, that gets assigned an H1 tag. What's an H1 tag? H1 is a bit of HTML code, a little code that sits behind your website that pushes the text out. And H1 just means a heading, a main heading. H2 is a subheading, H3 is a sub-subheading, that's a hierarchy. H1 tells Google this is important text. So we need H1 tags around the main keyword, and then we use H2 tags for other headings. WordPress, as I say, tends to do that automatically in your theme. If you pick the heading 1 style in your WordPress editor and assign heading 1 against the text, that's you giving it an H1 tag. Check your on-site optimization. If you use this tool called SEO Optimer, SE Optimer, it's a hard thing to say, SE Optimer. It'll actually check all this for you. So you just put your website address in, and it'll actually go and tell you, yeah, you've not optimized for this. You've not got an H1 tag set. Your images don't have alt tags, that kind of thing. And it also gives you nice tips and things to fix. And if you get a good score on that, I'll give you a score out of 100, I think it does. If you get a good score on that, it will really help your optimization. So let's look at a real example of somebody who is ranking well for a particular keyword. And let's look at how their website is optimized for the keyword. This is, I'm going to look for documentary wedding photographer. And you'll see that Kevin Millins is ranking for that. And Kevin's ranked for this for a number of years. He knows his stuff in terms of search, does Kevin. If we look at his website, so he's trying to rank for documentary wedding photographer. No, it's the first bit of text we see, and it says documentary wedding photographer. It's highlighted H1 text, you know. This is how you optimize a website. Look at the text, read through that text, and you can see how well optimized it is. You can see how he's using variations of his text, of his keyword. What is documentary wedding photography? You know, he's got nice images there, broken up by text, lots of text on the page. You know, great website. He's also getting other wedding relevant text in there. You know, wedding day, words like that. Text all in the wedding related words into the text of the site. Great images. You're really well optimized. You really should study this site and see how he does it to rank, how he gets the keywords into his text here. You know. And you'll see not only is Kevin properly optimizing the text here, he's also doing content marketing. He's answering questions that people might search for in the body. Now, I think this bit here I would have separated out if it was me, but it works for him and it's working well. And again, he's leading people on a journey. Let me tell the beautiful story of your wedding. You know, he's just really good at selling as well in here. He's optimized the site and he's doing good selling techniques. So you can see here, this is a little screenshot of SEO Optimisation tool I mentioned earlier, and it shows me the frequency of keywords that I've used on his page. So Kevin's main keyword there, documentary wedding photographer, he's actually mentioned it 5 times on the page. So he's got a lot of text on the page, so he gets away with mentioning it 5 times. So he's able to optimize like that. So tracking progress. Get yourself a free account at whatsmyserp.com and you'll be able to actually log your keywords in there and it'll keep track of your search positions for you. Also very important, make sure you track the geographic location because that impacts a lot of photography related keywords. So sometimes the positions reported are not really 100% accurate because it really depends where people are searching from. So be aware of that. Expect 3 to 4 months of work before you really see significant progress if you're trying to track a hard keyword. But trust me, if you optimize things like blog posts for things like where you're answering questions, if you optimize a blog post and that question becomes a keyword, you can very quickly get your website into the first 1 or 2 pages within days if you do it properly, right? But generally, if you're looking to rank for a main keyword, like something like Leeds wedding photographer Newcastle, expect 3 or 4 months of work to see significant progress. But if you do it and you do it consistently, this will work. So that is what we call basic search engine optimization. It is a tricky subject. And I cover a lot of this in the book that I wrote about search engine optimization, which you'll get a copy of as part of this course. Next lesson, we're actually going to go into more advanced search engine optimization techniques. So please take your time with this. Some of this might not make sense at first. You might need to watch this video a few times. This is a long subject and this is a longer video than normal. But try and take your time to learn it. Go through the lesson again if you need to. Any particular question, just reach out, send me an email, and I'll be more than happy to help. All right, bye for now.